Morning, everyone. Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. Nice to see everyone. We'll see you tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem, 6:40 a.m. B'ezrat Hashem. So we're continuing the halachot of Shabbat, of the Hadlakat Nerot, and the Shulchan Aruch tells us that the Ner Shabbat comes before Kiddush. So if you could afford, just to know the hierarchy, a person could only afford one thing, be it the candles for Shabbat or the wine for Shabbat, the candles come first. And the Mishnah Berurah explains that even though Kiddush is mideoraita, the Kadeshet Hayom, technically you fulfill the day, you fulfill sanctifying the day in Tefillah. We say Mekadesh Shabbat. You already fulfill it in Tefillah. Having the wine is midirabanan. But also we mentioned that we said that if a person is actually starving, like if I don't have, then bread is really first, before even the Nerot. And you could do Kiddush on bread. So the different hierarchy is, if you only have one thing, and otherwise you're going to be starving, is bread. But then next is the candles, and then wine, and then the Shulchan Aruch does bring down as well. What about the candles for Chanukah? So we said that Shabbat comes before Chanukah, and the Mishparshim over here bring that there's also what about Havdalah? Havdalah is after Chanukah. I mean, if I only have Chanukah or Havdalah, you put for Nerot Chanukah first. A side point is, so actually finishing this point, the Rav Yosef does say though that nowadays things are a little bit different, because the whole point of Nerot of Shabbat is because of Shalom Bayit. Now we have electricity. So because we have electricity, technically you could fulfill your obligation of Shalom Bayit with electricity. Therefore, if you only could afford one candle, it goes with Chanukah over Shabbat, because you could fulfill Shalom Bayit with the candle of the electricity. On that point, the Mishnah Berurah continues that, let's say a person only has one candle, enough for one candle. So for one candle is enough even for Shabbat, technically. And also one candle is also enough even for Chanukah. So if a person only has one, then Shabbat takes precedence. If you have two, then one for Shabbat and one for Chanukah. If you have a little bit more money, he says, so now I have one for Shabbat, I have one for Chanukah. He says a little bit more money, then buy more candles for Chanukah, because let's say it's the fifth night, better to have more than the one. And again, interesting halachot of kind of priorities. And the Ben Ish Chai brings down that, let's say I guess aside from this, let's say you have wine, let's say you have an option of getting a better wine or better oil to make it like your candles nicer. And that it's like less flickering, or maybe like 100% virgin oil. So he says better to get better wine, because that you're going to be enjoying actually yourself going to be enjoying than from the outside. And lastly is that lo aleinu, if someone is blind. So I mean those cases again are Baruch Hashem, we could afford and everything like that. We don't, but just to know the priorities, or if a person's stuck, then what you do. And also lastly, lo aleinu, if someone's blind, a lady is blind, she could light the Shabbat candles with a bracha. But if she has a husband that could see, then he should light with a bracha. But if, let's say she's by herself or whatever, she could light with a bracha even though she can't see the candles. Okay, that's that for today. Mincha tonight at 4:30. Have a good day, everyone. Time of the video.